Have you ever stopped to wonder how something as natural and personal as self-pleasure might shift in meaning and impact as we move into our 70s? At this wonderful stage of life, many of us are rediscovering the importance of closeness, comfort, and physical release. Self-love is not just common, it's a healthy practice when approached with care. It can ease tension, promote restful sleep, improve your circulation, and even support a healthy prostate. Yet, very few of us realize that certain habits related to private moments may be subtly affecting our health, our energy levels, and even how long we live. Doctors are now speaking out, not to criticize or cause alarm, but to inform, empower, and protect you. As our bodies change, so too must the way we care for them, and that includes our most private behaviors. Today, we're going to uncover 5 key mistakes that older men often make when it comes to self-love, and explain why they may be unintentionally doing more harm than good. Let's explore these important truths together, not with any judgment, but with understanding and respect. Before we begin, if you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe and click that notification bell so you never miss another helpful health tip designed just for you. If you find value in this video, please type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make content that better suits your needs. Mistake number 1, ignoring the body's new boundaries. As we get older, our bodies go through changes that are subtle but incredibly important to acknowledge. After 70, the heart, blood vessels, nervous system, and even our skin's sensitivity react differently than they did in decades past. Sadly, many of us continue to engage in self-pleasure using the same intensity, speed, or pressure we grew accustomed to in our younger years, unaware that this can now put significant strain on our bodies. Energetic or hurried self-love may not only be physically tiring, but it can also lead to short-term issues like lightheadedness, a racing heart, or muscle cramps. These reactions might seem minor, but over time, repeatedly overdoing it during self-pleasure can put stress on the heart and blood vessels, especially for those with underlying conditions like high blood pressure, heart problems, or diabetes. One often overlooked factor is how hard the pelvic floor muscles are working during climax. When these muscles are overused or strained, they can become tight and fatigued, which can then lead to urinary problems, discomfort in the groin area, or even, in more severe cases, incontinence. Doctors are encouraging older men to approach this intimate part of their lives with a deeper sense of self-compassion and care. Self-love shouldn't feel like a competition, but rather a celebration of sensation. It's not about speed, strength, or intensity anymore. It's about unwinding, connecting with your body, and supporting your overall well-being. Gentle touch, a slower pace, and a peaceful setting can actually heighten pleasure while keeping your body safe. Taking deep breaths during self-stimulation, maintaining good posture, and even pausing when you need to can greatly reduce any risks and enhance the experience. This time of life offers a wonderful opportunity to redefine pleasure. Listening to your body instead of pushing against it isn't a sign of weakness. It's wisdom. You're not any less of a man because you've slowed down. In fact, you might discover more depth, sensitivity, and fulfillment when you allow your body the space to feel completely and safely. The key is to avoid pushing yourself into discomfort simply because that's how you used to do things. Your body is communicating with you. Respect what it's telling you. And yet, the physical side is only one piece of the puzzle. What about the emotional and mental aspects of this habit? The next mistake often goes unnoticed, but may be quietly reshaping your brain in ways that diminish joy, lessen real-life intimacy, and even affect your memory. Let's talk about that next. Mistake number 2, using pornography that overstimulates the brain. In today's digital world, pornography is more readily available, fast-paced, and stimulating than ever before. For younger men, the brain is often still flexible enough to recover from frequent visual overload. But for older men, particularly those over 70, this type of overstimulation can subtly begin to change how the brain responds to pleasure, intimacy, and arousal. Many of us turn to internet pornography without realizing the unique risks it presents at this stage of life. The human brain releases dopamine, the pleasure chemical, in response to sexual stimulation. But when that stimulation is repeated too often through highly stimulating pornographic content, the brain adjusts. It starts to demand more intensity to achieve the same level of satisfaction, creating a cycle of diminishing returns. Over time, this can lead to a condition known as dopamine desensitization, connection, where real-life experiences like intimacy with a partner, meaningful touch, or even a casual conversation no longer produce the same emotional reward. What once felt fulfilling may begin to feel bland, uninteresting, or disappointing. For older men, this can be especially harmful. As natural hormone levels decline with age, the brain's ability to regulate emotional highs and lows becomes more fragile. Bombarding it with constant artificial sexual imagery can interfere with memory, focus, and mood. Some men even report feeling more anxious or irritable after frequent pornography use, especially if they're using it to cope with feelings of loneliness, boredom, or sadness. What may seem like a private and harmless habit can, in reality, slowly erode emotional resilience and mental sharpness. Doctors and mental health experts recommend replacing overly stimulating material with gentler alternatives. Erotic literature, softer visual content, or simply reconnecting with your imagination can provide stimulation without overwhelming the brain's reward system. This change often leads to deeper, more meaningful self-exploration and reduces the mental exhaustion that can follow overstimulation. It's not about giving up pleasure, it's about reclaiming it in a way that enhances your overall health rather than depleting it. There's also a powerful emotional dimension to this mistake. Pornography, especially the kind designed for younger audiences, rarely reflects the realities or desires of older adults. This can create a disconnect between what a man sees and what he truly needs or wants, leading to feelings of inadequacy or frustration. When the images on the screen don't match real life, it's easy to start believing that something is wrong with you, rather than recognizing that the content simply isn't intended for your stage of life. Being selective and intentional with what you consume can significantly improve how you feel about your body, your desires, and your ability to experience pleasure. The goal isn't just stimulation. It's satisfaction, peace, and a deeper connection with yourself. But stimulation isn't the only factor that matters. There's another often overlooked risk that starts deep inside the body, one that's especially common in older men, and when ignored, it can quietly lead to serious long-term damage. Let's turn our attention to that next. Mistake number 3, not considering prostate health. As we enter our 70s and beyond, one area of the body requires more attention than ever before: the prostate. This small gland, often overlooked in younger years, plays a crucial role in reproductive and urinary health. Yet, many of us continue our sexual routines, including self-pleasure, without adjusting for the changes happening in our prostate. This can lead to discomfort, inflammation, and in some cases, much more serious consequences. The prostate naturally enlarges with age, a condition known as benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. This change can put pressure on the bladder, affect urinary flow, and lead to symptoms like urgency, difficulty starting urination, or even interrupted sleep due to frequent nighttime trips to the bathroom. But what many older men don't realize is that aggressive or improper self-love habits, such as applying too much pressure, repeatedly delaying ejaculation, or rushing through the process, can further irritate the prostate and pelvic region. Over time, this can contribute to chronic pelvic pain, increased inflammation, and in rare cases, may interfere with the early detection of more serious prostate conditions. Some of us also mistakenly believe that holding in ejaculation or forcing it can somehow strengthen our stamina. In reality, this can create unnecessary tension in the pelvic floor muscles and surrounding nerves, placing added stress on the already sensitive area around the prostate. The result isn't improved performance, but greater discomfort and longer recovery times afterward. This is especially risky for men who are already managing conditions like prostatitis or have a history of urinary tract infections. Health professionals advise that older men approach self-love with care, patience, and a full awareness of how their body feels, not how they think it should respond. Gentle touch, adequate arousal time, and complete release without straining are essential. More importantly, if you experience persistent pelvic pain, changes in fluid, blood, and semen, or any disruption in your urinary habits, you should never ignore these signs. They may not be urgent today, but they could signal deeper issues developing quietly over time. Protecting your prostate means respecting it. Self-love can still support prostate health by encouraging circulation and clearing out old fluid. But it must be done with a new mindset, one rooted in awareness, not just routine. Your body isn't what it was at 30, but it's still strong, capable, and deserving of proper care. Yet, While physical harm is easier to detect, the emotional reasons why we continue certain habits often run even deeper. And the next mistake is one that can drain not just the body but also the spirit if left unaddressed. Let's take a closer look at that now. Mistake number 4. Engaging in self-love out of loneliness or stress instead of connection. In the later stages of life, emotional well-being becomes just as important as physical health, if not more so. For many older men, especially those living alone or coping with the loss of a partner, self-love can become more than a physical act. It can become a way to escape the quiet, to fill emotional voids, or to cope with stress, grief, or feelings of isolation. While there's nothing wrong with finding comfort in your own body, there's a fine line between healthy self-care and using physical release to mask emotional wounds. When self-love becomes a substitute for emotional connection, it often loses its purpose as a joyful, restorative experience. Instead, it may evolve into a habit driven by sadness, habit, or anxiety. Over time, this can diminish the emotional reward and even lead to a kind of emotional numbness where the act becomes mechanical rather than meaningful. Some men report feeling even more alone or disconnected afterward, especially when it's used to avoid dealing with difficult emotions. This cycle can quietly deepen feelings of loneliness, making it harder to seek out real companionship, new friendships, or even lighthearted social engagement. The problem isn't the act itself, it's the motivation behind it. When driven by boredom, frustration, or sadness, self-love becomes less about pleasure and more about avoidance. The temporary comfort it brings fades quickly, often replaced by a lingering emptiness. This emotional fallout isn't talked about enough among older men, many of whom were raised in generations where emotional needs weren't openly discussed or acknowledged. But the truth is, emotional hunger cannot be truly satisfied by physical release alone. Doctors and therapists alike agree. When you notice that you're turning to self-love more out of habit or emotion than desire, it's a signal worth paying attention to. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I feel good, or because I don't want to feel something else? That one question can open a door to deeper awareness. Sometimes a simple change in routine, like a walk outside, a phone call to a friend, or picking up a long-forgotten hobby, can offer the connection your heart is really craving. The goal at this stage in life isn't to avoid self-love. It's to reclaim it as something affirming and healthy. Your emotional health matters, and so does your sense of connection, whether that's with others or simply with yourself. Don't let loneliness dictate your relationship with your own body. Pleasure, like love, should never feel like a substitute for what's missing. It should feel like something added to what's already whole. But while emotional motives are powerful, there's another challenge that creeps in silently and affects both the mind and body. It's not about what you feel, it's about what you expect and how your performance worries may be quietly stealing your peace. Let's explore that next. Mistake number 5, ignoring erectile changes or performance anxiety. As we get older, changes in sexual function are common, but not always welcomed. Many of us over 70 experience shifts in how our bodies respond. Erections may be less firm, slower to appear, or shorter in duration. This is completely normal. Yet, far too many older men view these changes as signs of failure rather than simply the result of aging. In response, they begin using self-love as a way to test their performance. Instead of enjoying the experience, they become focused on whether they can achieve or maintain an erection, whether they're taking too long, or if something is wrong with them. This mindset can quietly turn a healthy act into one driven by fear, self-judgment, and pressure. Performance anxiety doesn't only affect sexual satisfaction. It affects the entire nervous system. When a man begins to worry during self-love, his body responds by releasing cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol and arousal are enemies. The more anxiety present, the harder it becomes for the body to relax and respond naturally. What starts as a minor concern can quickly become a recurring issue, creating a loop of frustration and disappointment that deepens over time. Many men don't realize that this cycle isn't just psychological, it's deeply physical, too. Ignoring erectile changes or letting it silently dictate your emotional state is one of the most harmful patterns an older man can fall into. Instead of accepting changes and adapting with grace, many choose to suffer in silence, too ashamed or embarrassed to talk to their doctor or even acknowledge it to themselves. But the truth is, these changes aren't a verdict on your masculinity. They're simply biology doing what it does. And the good news is, there are ways to support sexual health without falling into shame or stress. Reframing self-love as an act of self-care rather than a performance test is key. It's not about how long or how hard. It's about how you feel. It's about reclaiming comfort in your own body without judgment. When this shift happens, the pressure lifts, and the body often responds more freely. And when there are concerns that go beyond stress, like persistent erectile difficulty or changes in sexual fluid, it's not weakness to seek help. In fact, it's one of the most powerful things you can do for your health, your confidence, and your peace of mind. Performance doesn't define a man. Presence does. Connection, comfort, and honesty with yourself are what matter most. As the years pass, your body might be aging, but your ability to feel, to experience joy, and to be at peace with who you are remains fully alive. Now that we've explored the 5 most common self-love mistakes older men make, one important question remains. What practical steps can you take today to reclaim healthy, joyful, and safe sexual habits that truly support your well-being? Let's answer that next. Final thoughts. Sexual wisdom after 70. There comes a time in life when pleasure takes on a deeper meaning. Not just physical, but emotional, even spiritual. After 70, it's not about performance or proving anything. It's about honoring the body that has carried you this far, listening to its wisdom, and embracing touch with care and intention. You've earned this freedom. You've earned peace. Self-love, when guided by awareness and self-respect, can still be a beautiful part of your life. Not rushed, not judged, just real, honest, and yours. Growing older doesn't mean letting go of intimacy. It means redefining it with grace. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.